This was my dream trip to Alaska. It cost me around £10,000, and I know that sounds like a lot. But this video is not really about the number, it's about how I made it happen without giving up everything I enjoy. If you have a trip you keep thinking about but it always feels like too expensive or too far away, this is the video for you. Your dream trip doesn't need to cost £10,000. It can cost like 1,000, 2,000, or just like a weekend trip close to where you live. Doesn't matter, the price is not the point. The point is learning how to be intentional with your money so that the things you really care about will really happen. Alaska was one of those places I really wanted to visit for a long time. I don't usually spend much on trips. Even on this trip I was camping, I was sleeping in the car, and occasionally I was sleeping inside my Airbnb. So I was being intentional of where I wanted to spend my money and how. But this one was different. This was a place I really wanted to experience properly. So instead of just saying one day, I decided to make a real goal. I didn't say for Alaska accidentally. I made the decision. I decided this mattered to me. And then I built a structure around that decision. And that's the part that most people skip. People want an outcome but don't create the structure to make this possible. For me, the first rule is that I don't save for my trip before I save for my future. So Alaska wasn't money I randomly found. It was money I purposely took off and put in my saving pot for that goal. I didn't try to cut everything. I just decided what mattered most. The practical part was very simple actually. I created a saving pot just for this trip. Non-mixed with everyday saving, non-mixed with emergency fund, just for this trip. And every month I move money into that account. Doesn't really matter how much you can move in that account. Everyone's situation is different. For some people it can be £50, for some other people it can be 500. That doesn't matter. The concept is the same. What matters it is that your goal has its own place. So my trip had its own account. I like to think about percentage instead of copying a exact number, because your income might be different from mine. So it's more about the concept of it and choosing the percentage based on what works for you, what worked for your life basically. Saving was only one part of it. The other part was how I booked. I didn't just buy the first thing I saw. I compared prices, looked for discount, used cashback where I could, and tried to avoid rushing big decisions. I just usually avoid rushing into things if I don't know all my options. This was still an expensive trip. I'm not pretending it was cheap, but I made it intentional. There is a difference about spending a lot of money and wasting money. For me, this trip was expensive, obviously, but it wasn't a waste. I think sometimes when people talk about saving money, they think about the goal is to spend as little as possible. But for me, it's not really how I see it. The goal is not to be cheap. The goal is spend less on things I don't care about and more on things that I do care about. That's the difference. And this is actually what the channel is about. It's not like just traveling, just bike ride. It's about making travel fit in real life. I work, I save, I plan the big trips properly, and in between I use smaller adventure to keep that part of me alive. That's the balance I'm trying to build. So if you take one thing from this video, it's this. Don't start with money. Start with a decision. For me, the decision was Alaska. For you can be something completely different. But the thing is that once you have the decision, you can start building from it. But once you decide what matters, it's much easier to start building towards it. So if this is something that excites you and you're interested in, travel, money, and how to build a life where adventure are actually fitting into it, then subscribe to this channel. In the next video in the coming weeks, I'm gonna share how do I actually structure this into my life and how do I make all these adventure, big and small, possible. Keep following.